Ivory Coast was for decades the thriving commercial hub of Francophone Africa. The country is the world's largest cocoa producer and enjoyed decades of political stability and economic growth, raising hopes for the rest of the continent. The commercial capital Abidjan was once known as the Paris of Africa and was the region's most cosmopolitan city. But a civil conflict that began in 2002 sank Ivory Coast into deep economic stagnation. After elections in 2010 sparked a crisis in which 3,000 people were killed, President Alassane Ouattara took the reins of a divided country with rotting infrastructure. He promised to restore peace and rebuild the country by focusing on turning around the economy. Fast forward 4 years, and the president is delivering. With the economy growing at around 9% for the past 3 years, and investors lining up to partner with the government on large infrastructure projects, Abidjan is on its way back up.
First I can say that Ivory Coast is the place to be for the future in the sub-region, just because the government with President Ouattara could jumpstart the economy after the crisis and took the steps to bring this economy on a sustainable growth track for the next decade or so, and I'm confident on it. Improving investment climate, improving competitiveness are the challenges that we have for the future, and we're working on it on day-to-day basis.
The initial results are promising to some, like Standard Chartered Bank's Jean-Paul Ndjemba, head of wholesale banking for Ivory Coast.
We started our franchise in the country right before the challenges, the political troubles that they had. And throughout we stayed in Abidjan, during the challenging times. And those times are behind us today, and we are extremely optimistic about the outlook of the economy and the economic prospects for the country. And we are intending to take full advantage of these opportunities in the different sectors of the economy.
Venture just a short drive from Abidjan's central financial district, and it becomes clear that strong growth has not yet had a trickle-down effect. Many young people can't find work, including those with university degrees. Nationwide maternal mortality rates are similar to those in far poorer nations in the region, such as Guinea and Niger. The answer, the government says, is more investment in basic infrastructure such as roads, bridges, and power plants, by both the government and the private sector.
The president put a strong accent on investment, both private and public. If you look at the structure of the budget, back in 2010, investment was less than 15%, 1/5 of the budget. Today, we basically spend around a third of the budget into investment. So investment, investment, and investment, but investment in areas that will create growth. Investment in areas that will reduce poverty. But we don't want the government to be the only one investing. We need to make sure that the private sector comes in and invests also.
So far, private sector investment has been led by large French companies close to the Élysée, which backed Ouattara during the crisis sparked by the disputed elections. One of these companies, Bollore Africa Logistics, has had a presence in the country for decades, holds major port and railway concessions, and is winning big from Ivory Coast's comeback.
I've been in Ivory Coast for a long time, maybe for more than 60 years, okay? And we stayed in Ivory Coast during the worst moment, okay? And to build the future and to try to stick to the development, and we are still here in Ivory Coast, and we are looking very hardly to the future and to try to stay and to develop a lot. Because after 10 years crisis, Ivory Coast is still the hub in the west part of Africa, not only in English-speaking countries, but French-speaking countries, but also in English-speaking countries. Then I would say that it is a place to be.
Critics say Mr. Ouattara's government is adept at selling itself, but less competent in the follow-through. Time will tell if the current growth boom is sustainable and transformative, and whether it results in Ivory Coast truly returning to its past place as the economic powerhouse of West Africa. I'm Maggie Fick in Abidjan for the Financial Times.